Mathieu Massa, Mr. Hospitality. You have an incredible story, incredible journey. You grew up in the south of France. Tell us about the early days. Where's your family from? And what was it like growing up in the south of France?
So my family originally is from Italy, both from my mother and my father's side. They migrated to the south of France in the 1900s, 1908 exactly. And I've been growing up in Cannes specifically, so going out obviously with the film festival, a lot of beautiful people, very mixed between the locals and the foreigners. Close from Saint-Tropez, obviously, a few hours of driving from Cannes. And so I was very privileged to grow up in such an amazing city. I also was privileged to come from a successful family of entrepreneurs where that was very inspiring to me. The family business is in the tire industry, mostly the tires all around Europe. And so thanks to that success, the real estate and some other passionate project from the family really inspired me to become an entrepreneur myself. So when the opportunity came, I went to the US to do my MBA, and I was so inspired I never got back to France after that.
What got you into business? You went to Babson for your MBA.
Yeah.
This is different than most traditional hospitality people. You know, hospitality people, they maybe worked in a restaurant, they worked in a bar, a nightclub, or they were a promoter, and then they kind of built it up. So you had the business aspect. Did you know you wanted to go into business when you came to the United States?
So I was the average student at school while in France, and I really there was a big trigger when I was around 18 years old where I saw my abilities, and that's when I started to be self-confident and be very attracted and was very attracted by the business world. So that's when I started the business school in the south of France, and which was very different from the academics, from the regular undergrad. So I went to a school called EDEC Business School in Nice. And so after that, I went to Babson, and I also did 6 months at HEC in Paris. So you're right. I mean, it's true that most of the hospitality people start from the get-go working in the industry. I really was trained and was attracted by real estate and finance, which is really my degrees. But when the opportunity came, when I moved to Miami to get involved in the hospitality, it was very eye-opening to me, and a true passion started for that industry, simply because I knew I had some artistic and social skills that I wanted to implement, and so it was the best.
Did you come to Miami straight out of Babson?
Yes.
Okay.
So the options were to either go back to the family business or take my own chances, and I always wanted to start something of my own, and I always was very adventurous, and I was curious. So I was so inspired by the American way of doing business, to be honest with you. Being at Babson with 150 different students from all around the world, like 68 different nationalities, being one of the youngest, one of the only French guys over there, I was very inspired by the overall American way of doing business. And so when I went back to HEC in Paris, there was such a large contrast between the two mentalities, the two cultures, that I said, you know what, I'm built for the American way of doing business. So I was so traumatized by the cold that there was no chance I was going to stay in Boston.
Yeah.
When I did an internship here in the tire industry at the time in Miami, that's when I really fell in love with the city. I mean, it was really similar in terms of feeling as the south of France, right? The tourism, the hotels, the beach, the diversity of people, the sun, the weather, and the proximity also with Europe. So it was perfect for me.
What year did you move to Miami?
2007.
2007. And where did you live when you first moved to Miami?
I went on Miami. I was on Miami Beach at the Flamingo.
Oh, wow.
1504 Bay Road. That's where there was so much action going on over there. I was 25 years old, and it was one of the best years for sure.
The Flamingo is legendary. There's a lot of stories of people coming and they land in Miami and they go to the Flamingo.
I'm sure, yes, they are. They are. I mean, there was definitely a big community of French people as well living in that building. A lot of them being in the hospitality, being either promoters or club owners. At the time, the French people had a lot of nightclubs. The Marion brothers and a lot of promoters from Saint-Tropez and the south of France were actually in charge of some of the hottest clubs at the time.
So you were working, you were living at the Flamingo, you were experiencing the American life, the Miami life. Miami was a much different place back in 2007 than it is today in 2026. Fast forward 20 years later. What was the first entry point into the hospitality or real estate business?
So it started with real estate. I mean, the business plan that I developed at school during my MBA was very simple. It was about benefiting from the exchange rate between the euro and the dollar, which at the time was historically high, right? For €1 million,
Like 1.4.
you could buy
something like that.
$1.5 million. So the business plan consisted into raising capital from Europe, from friends and family investors, and take and benefit from the low prices of real estate, which sometimes was below construction cost in Miami and Miami Beach. So there was a big gap, and it was easy to anticipate that the prices would go up because more matured cities all around the world were double or triple the price per square foot that it was back then here. And so when the subprime crisis in 2008 hit, it was the perfect timing. And I really got lucky in that sense that I bought a lot of real estate, both residential and commercial at the time. And even though I made a ton of mistakes, obviously, the timing was right, and a lot of good lessons that were learned during the process, for sure.
They say in real estate, location, location, location. We also say timing, timing, timing.
Yeah.
So timing was good. Where were you looking? Where were you finding deals back then?
It took me a year to really identify the right location, right neighborhoods, right properties. The first property was a condominium retail property, which was a restaurant on Ocean Drive and 15th Street. The actual address was 15th and Collins. And so it was an empty space. So the challenge was to actually, after buying the property, which was a cash purchase, because no bank would loan anything back then to anyone, especially to a foreigner that had no track record. So it was a cash purchase, I remember, for $3 million. And we did find a national tenant, a chicken wings fast food restaurant concept that was really inspired by the location and the space. And that's how we added value and was able to refinance afterwards after playing golf every weekend for 6 months with the bankers. I was able to convince them to trust me and work with me on that particular project. I needed some cash out to do other deals. So I flew them in France, showed them the family business, and made sure they understand where the money was coming from. And so that was my first deal. And then after that, residential. I bought, I think, 25 apartments at the time from at the Quantum on the Bay.
Okay.
And 900 Biscayne project from David Martin.
Oh, wow.
So that... I remember him, he always jokes about this when we see each other, that he saw me arriving. At the time I had a partner, and we showed up out of nowhere with all this cash coming from Europe, and we started making offers on every single building. Obviously, we were lowballing, right, because that was the whole point. And we did make some good acquisitions. We flipped things around. We were able to improve value. Again, making a ton of mistakes, but the timing was right.
What did you learn in those early days that maybe making mistakes or just deal structuring in your real estate deals that you've applied in your business going forward? You're vertically integrated now, and I see from your story, the origin is really real estate and from a business perspective and a finance perspective.
To me, the biggest lessons was obviously the due diligence process. Having the right attorney, the zoning attorney, the right engineers to really understand the asset we were buying. And we learned the hard way, making mistakes in that sense. Obviously, the right financing also, when we managed to be able to start getting financing. And after that, the value was really the rental income. Either it was commercial or residential. The ability to optimize rent on those properties was what was making the properties to appreciate in value. So, and yes, we've then been able to replicate that in the hospitality later by being able to buy the real estate of the restaurants in the future.
So you started buying the real estate. Your first hospitality endeavor. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Well, it was that commercial property on Ocean Drive where I
Okay.
really saw the tenants really come up with the menu, the branding,
Okay.
the construction of the space, and then I wanted to make sure he was going to make it and pay the rent. So I would show up and observe how things were working, and that's when I was approached by some French people at the time that were looking for local partners to assist them in a restaurant called Vita,
Okay.
which was an Italian restaurant on 19 St. Collins.
Okay.
And we're talking about November 2009. And there was a true passion that really started from there for the hospitality industry. Just the social aspect, the human aspect, really, the creativity behind it. I really was lacking and missing that in the real estate finance world. And I was able to really discover a new part of myself during that process, and I really fell in love with it.
You've taken that and you've grown your portfolio today. After Vita, what was the next endeavor? What was the next concept that you opened up?
So I can't take credit for everything, right? I had an amazing team that worked
Okay.
for me, great people, hardworking, and that was really the key because obviously it was not a one-man show at all. But that Vita turned into Baoli in 2011. We went from a $3 million sales per year to a $15 million sales in
5X.
2000
Wow.
in like 3-4 years, and that was thanks to the ladies' night every Wednesday party called My Boyfriend Is Out of Town, which was started by my former business partners before I took over the restaurant, and that was really how we started to get some traction, and we were the first ones to really do dining and entertainment in Miami back in the days. So fast forward 13 years later, obviously that was the end of the Baoli experience, but in the meantime, in 2015, we opened Marion and then El Toucan next to it
Okay.
in Brickell.
Yes.
And that was obviously a very risky move because Brickell was a ghost town. Brickell, there was really not that many restaurants at the time and not a lot of traffic and very few people were living there. So it was quite scary, but we could feel there was a few people. I think Zuma was already there, maybe Cipriani were some of the first. So that's when we decided to move over there. And there was nothing really for the younger crowd, the entertainment, and we were the first dinner party in that neighborhood.
That's really interesting for us and for a lot of the viewers that Brickell was a ghost town back in 2015. So in a decade, so much has been built. So many people have invested here, and there's so much capital, so many concepts, so many restaurants that are opening up in Brickell now. So in just 10 years, really the neighborhood was transformed. So you said you felt like the momentum was moving into Brickell, and you opened up Marion and El Toucan.
Yes.
Marion has an interesting origin. The name, there's a story behind that. Let's talk about that.
So my business partner at the time, Michael, was dating my sister, and we were looking for something emotional that we could tell a story about. And the link between the two of us was my sister. So obviously she was the reason why I met him, that I offered him to come to this country, that we started to work together. He is the one who had the experience in the
She must
hospitality
be a good
industry.
sister.
She's a great sister.
Yeah.
She's I love her. She's very
Yeah.
special to me, obviously. And so we wanted to give homage to the person who connected us because we had a lot of fun doing all that together for sure. And so yeah, it was. We started as a Mediterranean brasserie, but I think we went a little bit too elevated, too sophisticated. So we
Okay.
had to shift gear 180 degrees and started to bring in the DJ and bring in like the party, and that's really when Marion took over. And next to it was El Toucan because it was basically one space, one kitchen and 2 dining rooms, And El Toucan was more of a elevated Cuban cabaret, like with salsa and live music and dancing. And I'm very proud of everything we've done. There was so much energy, and the crème de la crème clientele of Miami at the time, and people were having so much fun, and the pride of entertaining and hosting and serving the local community was amazing, and it was a blessing, really.
You've had a great run there, and we'll talk more about Marion and the rest of your concepts. I'm interested that you opened two concepts next door to each other. How did you think about balancing that and creating two, not competitive, but different ideas and venues, and what made you open two?
Well, the opportunity came with the real estate. The space was a large space that had a specific configuration that was existing. So we took it the way it was, and we had to be creative because the real estate deal was attractive to make it work. And
so you bought the real estate?
So at first it was a long-term lease, a
Okay.
10-year lease, but then the opportunity came a few years after to buy the real estate. And I'm glad we did, because the real estate doubled within the past 7 years. And so we had to really come up with two concepts that would complement each other, right? And it was not easy. They had to be very distinct in terms of branding, in terms of positioning, in terms of the voice, in terms of targeted clientele, different teams. And so everything was different. And because they were both unique, they both really worked very well. I mean, El Toucan had a shorter life. I would say after 5-6 years, it was hard to remain relevant with the shows, because the shows were simply so expensive. There was like 25 artists on the stage every night.
Wow.
So the singers, dancers, acrobats, I mean, it was quite a logistics. And then you had to basically revamp yourself all the time, where you would have to do new rehearsal, change the costumes, and change the shows to give an opportunity for people to come back. And that was expensive. So that's when we then moved into a nightclub that we operated for a few years. And then that's when Lafayette, which is an American steakhouse, was born 2 years ago.
Hospitality is a business where every day you have to sell. You have new customers you have to bring through those doors. And you've had a long, successful track record and run. What's been your strategy and your philosophy for managing your team and treating your customers and really taking care of them so that they do come back?
I would say the number one gold rule in our industry is to attract employees that have personal values that align with the company's values. Because in the end of the day, if you're not passionate and you don't do this business with love and integrity, you cannot give to the clientele what they deserve to have a good time and to come back, especially when you are doing luxury hospitality. So attracting the right talent obviously has been one of the key for us. Luckily enough, we were able to bring a lot of people from France that really look at hospitality as a career. And then the challenge is to just identify people with common sense, that take initiatives, that really have the social skills, that have a big heart, and that are hard worker and passionate. And unless you have the passion aspect, it's very hard to make it in this industry. So when the team, especially the front of the house team, have those skills, then obviously the customers can feel welcome, appreciated, respected, and that's when the whole hosting come into place, where we need to make people feel special, so that there is a returning guest, because in the end that's the main reason for the success of our restaurant is the returning customers. So make them feel special, recognized, make them look good in front of their guests when they show up. Those are all very important and key elements.
And Marion's had a great run. You recently had a 10-year celebration anniversary,
Yes.
which is long in a competitive market like Miami, where concepts, restaurants, clubs they come and they go. It's 1-2 seasons, and maybe they don't make it. So, Mathieu, you've had that success. What do you think Marion does different that maybe other people, other restaurants or concept supper clubs don't do to make it more successful and to have lasted so long?
I think it's the employee that make the experience feel special for the guest. The European also level of quality in terms of hospitality, and that comes with the food execution, the hospitality in the service, the consistency where guests are never disappointed. They
Right.
come back.
Right.
They know what to expect. They know who they're going to be able to connect with when they show up, who's going to be there, who's going to take care of them. They know they're going to be recognized. And we have the same employees for all these years. I mean, we've had some rotation, but we have a lot of 10, 12, 15 years employees that are still part of the company, and that makes a big difference.
That's a really strong tenure, 10, 12 years in the hospitality business, very competitive. You guys have a party at the end of the year for all of the employees.
Yes.
Talk about that you said that's very special for you.
That's part of the company culture. So our company core values are integrity, intelligence, trust, respect, excellence, passion, and fun.
Yeah.
And so the best way for us to
Fun.
to lead by example is to do those type of events for our own people and to lead by example. So we have beautiful venues, and so every year we invite every single employee plus their whole families. We buy gifts for their children. We recognize the most successful employees of the year. We talk about the vision. We talk about the future. We entertain them. We treat them. And that really is part of the team spirit that we want to vehiculate. And we want to attract their children, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was very inspired because that's what I saw in my family business in France.
Mm-hmm.
In the tire industry, every year they would have the Christmas employee party, and the children would show up, and then the children would want to work in the same company.
Yeah.
So I was really inspired by that, and I implemented this 5 years ago, and it's been amazing. I'm always very emotional during those moments because it allows also to show the family what their partners, the environment that their partners are working in, and the colleagues that they work with every day. Because we spend 70% of our time with our colleagues at work, and that's very important for them to have access to what our company is about.
Baoli had a good run. Baoli had a good run. He went from 3 million to 15 million in revenue. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about the numbers for Marion?
I mean, Marion, we after COVID, obviously because there was no nightclubs, we were one of the few dinner party concept restaurant where we were around $20 million at the time. It's not like that anymore, obviously. Today, I think everybody has seen the changes in the market, but we were part of the top 20 restaurants in the country. And again, there was no competition, right?
Yeah.
There was no one doing high energy dining and no nightclubs. So that's obviously something we're very proud of. But we've been able to maintain a good business level.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of very VIPs, regulars that come and visit us all the time.
Miami hospitality market has gotten very competitive. Of course, we're attracting people from all over the world, concepts from all over the world, from across the United States. You recently opened a really amazing concept on Miami Beach, Queen. Let's talk about, how did you pick that location? It was probably and maybe a real estate driven decision first, and then coming up with the concept. And I've eaten there, as we were talking before the show, probably 20 times. It's incredible. It's really, really high end. The first time that I went to Queen, and when I take people there, I say, this is like Vegas. This feels like Las Vegas. Really high-end, luxury feeling, huge room, theater. Let's talk about how you selected the property, maybe buying the property, and the journey of opening Queen.
So this we're back in 2019, and the whole world is shut down. Every single restaurant in the world is shut down, and really fell in love with the property. Got it under contract fairly quickly, even though it was not that easy because the seller owns the property for over 30 years, and so he was very attached emotionally, and it was not easy to convince him to sell the property, but I saw the potential right away. I really fell in love. My wife was 6 months pregnant at the time, so it was, considering it was the middle of COVID, a challenging decision. I was very lucky, and I'm very grateful that the bank supported my vision and became my partner in the acquisition of the real estate.
Which bank was that?
And that was at the time was Iberia, which became First Horizon.
Okay.
And Jaime Ortega was my banker, who's always been supporting me in every venture I've done.
Incredible.
And I'm very grateful to him and to the bank. And so it was a 3-year construction process, working with the city. Obviously, the city of Miami Beach was super happy about Mr. Hospitality taking over this very emblematic venue, considering it was a hip-hop nightclub prior. So, and the neighborhood was a little bit challenging. So after 3 years of collaboration with the city and a lot of hard work, obviously the construction budget doubling, like it's always the case.
I think I read it was 40 million.
Yeah, including the real estate purchase, a big number,
Yeah.
obviously more than what we wanted to. I mean, it would be a lot more today, to be honest with you.
Miami Beach real estate. Yeah, it's going to
Correct.
hold its value, go up in value.
But the uniqueness of the space is the fact that there is no columns and there is no bad tables because everybody can see each other.
That's right.
So it's very opulent. The ceiling height, the beauty of the space is really the size of it all. Really, it's 23,000 square feet, and we managed to open all the office space that was on the second floor, working with the structural engineer to give a view to the main dining, and we actually turned all those rooms that were offices into private dining rooms, and the omakase that you actually go all the
Yes.
time. This used to be an office,
Wow.
believe it or not. There was no kitchen, no grease trap, no exhaust system, so we had to build everything from scratch. We actually had to increase the envelope of the building. We had to go through the preservation board, planning board, historic preservation
Yes.
board.
Yes.
It was quite an endeavor, but the zoning attorney, Michael Larkin, was very helpful. And so the city was very supportive of this project. So we were very proud when we opened in March 2023. And so it's going to be 3 years next month. And I have to say I'm very, very happy. We created the brand from scratch. It's this Japanese beautiful steakhouse that has
The food is amazing.
I mean, the food obviously is
The
the
food
star
is-
of
the
the
food is
concept.
incredible,
Obviously, the steaks we have, the sushi, the freshness of the ingredients, the whole culinary team is top notch, some of the best in the world, and I'm very proud of them. I mean, again, it's not a one-man show. When you look at me and you look at the project, we have 200 employees, and all of them are special. I'm very grateful to have been able to attract such quality people and retain them and to inspire them. And I'm glad that they selected me as their leader. But it's really a teamwork, and I'm very happy. We just recently got approached to possibly open in Vegas and possibly also Dubai.
I could see Queen Vegas definitely in Dubai. It's at that level.
Yes, I mean, we've been approached. We just need to pick the right location and the right partners.
That's exciting.
But yeah, it's exciting. We're very happy.
Let's talk about the process and how you manage the real estate side and creating these experiences. What is the creative part that you go through to come up with the name Queen and the menu and the interior design?
So the creative part is really a teamwork. I surround myself with people I respect, I trust, that have an eye for things. I always try to implement the European way of doing things as well. And we usually travel. My creative team and I, we usually travel everywhere. When we opened El Toucan, we went to Cuba many times, south of France for Marion. We went to Japan a few times for Queen, obviously. A lot of research in the history of all the books. So It's really about telling a story and being inspired and being able to create a voice that is clear, that people can relate to, identifying who the target clientele is going to be, and then it's doing things with your heart, really, with emotions. The goal is to touch people with their emotions.
Creating these incredible concepts, opening a restaurant for young entrepreneurs out there, people with a dream who want to open the next Marion, the next Queen, the next Bowley. What does that process look like? Because people see the end. People see Mr. Hospitality, the success. How do our listeners navigate the ups and downs? Where do they get started if they want to open a restaurant? And then even the actual process of raising the money or investing their own money to open a concept. Let's talk about that.
I guess the first part is to make sure they're passionate about that industry, because it's intense. It's heavy.
It's heavy, yep.
It's I can't count how many times I've doubted myself. I have regretted getting into it. I've I lost my mind, and it was really challenging on a personal level because it's so demanding. Right. So first of all, make sure you have the passion for it, because if you don't have the passion, you're not going to have the resources, the power, the energy to push when it's hard, and it gets hard. Then work for someone else.
Learn the business.
Learn from
be an apprentice from another great
find a
operator.
mentor. Learn from him. Ask questions and take notes and observe. Because there is no more valuable lessons than just working for someone else. So you limit your personal risks and make your own network of other colleagues and teammates, but also clients. And then identify a niche on the market that is untapped and try to differentiate yourself, because there is so much competition that unless you offer something special or different, chances are you're not going to make it for more than 2 years. So be mindful. Make sure you don't make decisions out of ego, which is what I've done when I started too. And those are the most expensive lessons. Understand who you are, what you're capable, what you're good at. Surround yourself with people that can complement your skills. Someone that you look up to and that you can delegate and work as a team, because it's a teamwork, right? And then follow your heart and push forward and make sure you're ready to run the marathon.
Hospitality sounds like a marathon. The development business is similar. It's a long game. It's a long process. There's days that, are hard. We're banging our heads against the wall. We have the ups and the downs. Let's talk about Miami's market, hospitality market today. Where are you seeing bright spots? Where are you seeing opportunity? Where are you seeing, maybe saturation? What are you seeing in the market as someone who's been here and operating for over a decade?
I think there is always room for people that innovate and that are great at what they do. When you look at how quickly Riviera Dining Group has been able, with Major Food Group, to implement them, to get into the market and be so successful so quickly, there is definitely room for newcomers, even though there is a lot of competition. So those are perfect examples that there is always room for someone who knows what they're doing and have a clear vision.
And Greg did exactly what you said. He started and apprenticed at Fig and Olive, became a senior manager. He was running operations, and then he launched Riviera Dining Group in Milan. We know the story.
And that was the best lesson, even though it was super hard for him on the way things turned out at the end. It was the most valuable lesson for him, I assume, because obviously it's when you hit the hard times that you really learn your lessons. And yes, definitely he was able to make a lot of mistakes during this time, see what was working, see what was not working, and then learn from all that. And I have a lot of respect for him and his team. We actually grew up together in the same hometown.
Wow.
We've been following each other at school since we're 14 years old, all the way until 22 years old. So I'm very happy to that he's the one that is succeeding so well in this industry, in this city, and in this country, because obviously he's very ambitious. He's not going to stop there, and so yeah, and I think if I could go back, I would have loved to do that. I didn't have that chance, so that was great, and that's what I recommend for others. And in terms of advice, I mean, again, the consistency in the work and the treating people right and the good values is to me one of the most important. What I like about Greg, for instance, is his humility.
Yeah, he's no ego.
No
Yeah.
ego. I mean, he's human, so I'm sure he
Of
has
course.
some ego, but he manages to control it and and he's very well respected and he's not showing off, and very few people know him, and I like that about him. And I try to do the same on my own. I don't have. I'm not public on social media. I'm very private as well. You're actually one of the first podcasts I
Wow.
do. But I think that's important because in the end, it's not about us. It's about our employees and it's about our customers.
That's a great lesson is that it's about creating value, it's about taking care of your customers, it's about taking care of your team. In creating content, I didn't have a public profile until maybe a year and a half ago. So I wasn't someone who was normally out there and likes attention. I like being at home, having dinner with my wife, and going to bed early, waking up early on the weekends, studying. And I have 3 principles in creating content. One of them is do things that are not cringe. So if you don't like it, don't do it. Like if you swipe out. But number 2 is very important, and Matthew, you touched on it, is we don't do ego-driven content. Not look how cool I am or look how amazing I am or successful. It's about adding value and educating for us, the followers. And for you, it's about taking care of your team, having that passion to take care and the love, putting the love to take care of your customers so that they come back. And clearly they have. You've had so much success over the years. Yeah. You mentioned you've been offered opportunities in Las Vegas and Dubai. How are you thinking about growth of the company?
I think the best future for us is really to take what we've learned from the hospitality industry and the real estate industry and take it to a larger scale in the hotel industry and real estate development. That's really where my passion is, and I think that's where the future is, to be able to create brands that resonate with people, that have depth, that have emotions, and be able to deliver on the vision, the guest experience, and combine the hospitality aspect in the real estate component and provide a service and an offering based on the new trends of today, like personal growth, health, biohacking, and be able to keep offering shelter with a roof on top of your head and food, right, and an experience that you can have memories about, that you can talk about, that really make you vibrate. And that's what we do. We create environments that provoke the senses and provide an engaging escape from the everyday. That's our slogan. That's what we do. And building hotels, residential properties to the high net worth individuals and giving them a product that they feel they belong to is what we do.
Where can people find you? You mentioned you're not public on social media, but if they want to engage with you, what's the best way to find you and reach out?
LinkedIn.
Okay.
LinkedIn, at the restaurants, obviously.
Yep.
I'm part of the YPO network, so I'm privileged to be part of such a nice network where I get access to so many interesting entrepreneurs, the Young President Organization. They also have their kids, the YNGs that I connect with and talk to and coach once in a while. I find a lot of pleasure to inspire the young generation. I really enjoy the spiritual aspect of what I've learned and the implementation to the business world. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've lost my mother 3 years ago now. I went through some tough times personally, and I was in the dark for a while, and it took me a lot of courage to understand who I was, to forgive myself, to forgive others, to have gratitude for what happened to me, and to be able to learn from my mistakes. And I want to share that because it's not easy. Life is tough. Life is very difficult. And the new generations are going to have a lot of challenges to exist, to feel they deserve, to feel part and enough, to feel enough. The social media world is really challenging our self-esteem, self-confidence, our personalities and who we really are. And we as human beings need to be part of a community, to socialize. And it's interesting how the game has changed so much with AI and social media. And so I want to be a voice to tell them that in the end of the day, it's not outside, it's inside that it matters. It's in their heart, their spirit, and they have to really follow who they are and what they want to be able to find peace in the end of the day. Because what does matter? What does anything matter without
That's
having
right.
the peace, right? And the happiness.
The internal work, you have a passion, you want to share it, you want to teach it, you want to connect. You've done that successfully in your
Yes.
career. Mathieu, thank you for being on The Long Game. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.